Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Manscaped. Head on over to manscaped.com, use code Raiders. That way you can save 20% and get free shipping and all the best male grooming products out there. Great stocking stuffer, a great way to make sure that your balls are looking great for 2024. All right, y'all, we're doing a preview here on the Raiders Report. We're going to be looking at the Raiders Week 18 matchup on Christmas, and you know what? Happy holidays to everyone out there. Merry Christmas to everyone out there. Let me know something down below that you're thankful for, because I know I'm thankful for the nation. I'm thankful for Chugs, and I am really, really hoping that we get a dub against the freaking Kansas City Chiefs. But what we're going to be doing here on today's show is I'm going to go through my keys to victory. I'm going to talk about some top trending topics that involve this game. And then at the very end, my Week 16 rooting guide, in case you were wondering, Mitch, who the heck should we be rooting for this week if we want the Raiders to get into the playoffs? Now, I want you to subscribe. I want you to join our watch party because I know that it's the holidays. I know that it's Christmas. I'm going to be live on Christmas. Jeremy's going to be live on Christmas. Nobody is going to ever put in the time, effort that we do. My family is important. Don't ever get it twisted. But my nation family is also very important. And on top of that, we're going to be giving away a signed Willie Brown jersey, JSA certified, signed by Brown himself. Bottom line, even though it's Christmas time, you can always depend on the Raiders Report. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you got those notifications turned on. I see SP Junkie says, thankful for the nation. That's exactly why I'm going live. So coming up here, I got my 5 keys to victory against KC. Raiders rumors before Christmas. And then a Week 16 rooting guide is all going to be rolling in here on the Raiders Report. But you know what, Jeremy? It's Chiefs Week. And Chiefs Week just hits different. You want to shout out here live on the Raiders Report? Can I get a FKC? FKC! FKC! Because I don't care if the Raiders are 6-8. I don't care if the Raiders have 1 win. I don't care what it is. If you can take down the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm going to be a happy camper. Last week proved it. There was a lot of people saying, Mitch, Raiders should tank. It's going to help improve their draft position. Those are correct things to say if you want the Raiders to tank. But when you beat your division rival against the Chargers, we knew, we partied, we rallied. It was sweet. Imagine that times 100 because FKC. So my 5 keys to victory coming up here on today's show are going to be focusing on the offensive side of the football and on the defensive side of the football. And it's literally just the 5 biggest keys. The biggest key in this game is to get after Patrick Mahomes. And if you didn't listen to what Jack Jones had to say on Thursday, he was asked, like, man, are you worried about the Chiefs receivers? And Jones was like, nah, man, Patrick Mahomes is a magician. If you stop the magician, then the show is over. And that's how this ship goes. This season more than ever. Yes, we know that Mahomes is arguably the best player in the National Football League, best quarterback in the NFL. But as long as you're able to get after him, fluster him a little bit, and take away his go-to option in Travis Kelce, I think that the Raiders got a shot. Max Crosby, Malcolm Kuntz, time to step it up. Tyree Wilson, is he going to be playing defensive tackle? Time to get after him. I want Patrick Graham to literally never make Mahomes comfortable. In the first 5 to 10 snaps, you got to hit him. You got to get after him. Make him uncomfortable. I want multiple players to be chippy with them even after the play. You know, Mahomes talked about how Crosby hits him a bunch after the play, which maybe does, roughs him up a little bit. Yeah, you always got to be cautious because you know Kansas City is going to get calls. You know that Mahomes is going to cry and get a flag here and there. But if you don't pressure, if you don't rattle the cage of Patrick Mahomes, I don't think that you're going to be able to win this football game. Let's go to the next one here. It's don't let Travis Kelce beat you. And this is always one of the keys. These are always 2 keys when you play Kansas City. If I'm the Raiders, I'm getting physical with Travis. I'm trying to get up there to the line. I'm trying to jam him. I'm trying to hit him. But not only that, I'm also trying to have some help after the initial contact, right? If we're going to run the defense here, let's say you're going to roll with a Robert Spillane, put him up really close to the line of scrimmage next to Kelce. Hit Kelce coming across the middle, and then you got Marcus Epps trailing him. Or maybe you do something like Marcus Epps standing up there in the box, faking blitz. Hit Travis Kelce, roll him out to Nate Hobbs. It should never be mano-a-mano. It should never be man-to-man. But if the Raiders, if the Raiders need to go out and get pressure on him and hit him around a little bit, I'm looking at the screen. I was like, does that say Travis Swift? Yo, if anybody else saw that, shout out to Chuck, because I was like looking at it. I was like, what the heck is that? You got to hit Kelce. Box and one, box and two, make the other receivers beat you, because I'm sorry, they're just not talented enough. The next thing that the Silver and Black really, really needs to do is you got to stop the crossing patterns. The Raiders, the last time they played Kansas City back in Week 12, they did a really good job in the first quarter, got out to a 14-0 lead, and then they got outscored 31-3, and it's because they were unable to make the proper adjustments on intermediate crossing routes, and Andy Reid, Mahomes, they thrived on it, and they feasted. So, Amik, Nate, Jack Jones, Ja'Cory Bennett, Tyler Hall, Brandon Faison, I don't care who it is, but we need to be able to make the proper adjustments. And yes, Patrick Graham has been phenomenal. This Raiders defense has been phenomenal. Antonio Pierce with Patrick Graham, and with Pierce being the interim head coach, this defense has given up on average 15.5 points per game. That's third best in the NFL. But the only team that's really exploited you has been Kansas City. You want a job here for the Raiders? You better beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's go to the next key to victory here, and it's Bo Hardegree. Get your freaking ass up into that box again. I don't want you on the sideline. I want you to overlook the field like you did last week. Stay aggressive. But Bo and AOC need to cook. I want to see the aggressive play calls like we saw against the Chargers, because the offense that I watched against the Vikings compared to the offense that I watched against the Chargers, it was two totally different offenses. You have to be aggressive to beat Kansas City. Yes, you still have to be able to get the ball out quickly. You got to be able to mix and match here and there. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to trust your quarterback. You got to be able to trust your offensive line. You should have Josh Jacobs in this game, so don't be afraid to get the running game going. But you're not going to beat the defending Super Bowl champs. You're not going to beat the AFC West defending champs. You're not going to beat a team that has beat you 6 times in a row by playing conservative football. Swing for the fences, hit a home run, and let AOC and Bo, you better bring it. You better be ready to start cooking. The final one is this. You got to play 4 quarters of football. Antonio Pierce, and I think the biggest message that he has really just reiterated this entire week around this game and how you take down Kansas City is playing not just 1 solid quarter, not playing 2, not playing 3. You got to play 4 solid quarters of football. I don't care if the Raiders are up 14-0. I don't care if the Raiders are up 28-0. I don't care if the Raiders get up 42-0 over Kansas City. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it does, you got to have the mentality that's always a 0-0 ball game. Even if the Raiders are down, right? You got to have that mindset that it is a 0-0 ball game, and we're going to play 4 quarters of our best football. Because if you play 3 quarters of really good Raiders football and you give up 1 quarter, you're not going to win the game. You're not going to. You need to be able to make the proper adjustments. Andy Reid and that staff is going to make adjustments. How do you respond to those adjustments? Because if the Las Vegas Raiders get out to another 14-0 lead, and then they blow that lead and the Chiefs win on Christmas, I'm going to sit up here and tell y'all, Antonio Pierce does not deserve to be the Raiders head coach. Champ Kelly does not deserve to be the Raiders general manager. I will sit up here and I will say all those things. If the Raiders come out, have themselves a solid football game, my tone will definitely change. Coming up next here on the show, I got some Raiders rumors before Christmas time. We're going to talk about the top trending topics entering this game, and maybe some of y'all are wondering, who's going to be playing, who's not going to be playing. Here's the one thing that I do know, though. You can step into 2024 with confidence thanks to today's sponsor, Manscaped. And if you don't already know, that link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show, manscaped.com. Use code Raiders to save 20% off. As the new year approaches, why not make self-improvement a breeze by keeping your body well-groomed? I'm introducing Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is normally $257. So this product is usually $257, and guess what? You can actually get it now for $112. It's on right now, holiday deal. All this is what comes in the package. You get some boxers, you get your traveling case, you get your lawnmower, your weed whacker to be able to take care of the little nose hairs in there. And if you want to know exactly what is in it, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra Grain and our groin and body hair trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Soother ball aftershave lotion, Crop Preserver anti-chafing ball deodorant. I don't know about y'all. I definitely need this, especially when it's cold out. Magic Mat disposable shaving mats, plus free gifts, the Boxers, Midnight Bravo, and the Shed toiletry bag. Bottom line is this. Usually $257, but if you go to manscaped.com, use code Raiders, you're going to be able to get it for $112. Great holiday gift. Get the new year going the right way. Shout out to today's sponsor, Manscaped. All right, y'all, coming up here, some Raiders rumors before Christmas. And I love the holidays. It's the happiest time of the year. I'm going to miss my friends, going to miss my family, but man, oh man, I cannot wait to be able to hang out with the nation and Chugs and all of y'all partying up with us on Christmas. But the biggest rumors or the biggest top trending topics entering this game, question number one is Josh Jacobs going to be able to go against the Chiefs? He was unable to practice on Thursday, and I'm not really anticipating him to get much reps in at all this entire week because Antonio Pierce knows if he's healthy, this is going to be your starting running back. This is going to be the main guy. From top to bottom, it is what it is, right? Like, it's going to happen. Then, on top of all of that, I mean, it's like, I know people are wondering if he's healthy or not. Antonio Pierce hinted that he's going to play. I've been told that they're expecting him to play. I expect him to play. Justin Abgen, I saw what you did. We'll celebrate here in just a minute. Let's go to question number two. Is Kolton Miller and Andre James going to play against Kansas City? Both Miller and Andre James were able to play, or practice, on Thursday. What's really going to be interesting is what the Raiders decide to do on their offensive line, because Jordan Meredith might get the start at left guard over Dylan Parham, and I know that Meredith played a little bit of left guard last week, and I actually think he got the start last week as well at left guard. Honestly, that game is such a blur to me because we weren't even really paying attention to it because we were partying too much here on the Raiders Report. But it does sound like Kolton Miller, your starting left tackle, is going to be out there, and it does sound like Andre James, your starting center, will be out there for the Silver and Black. Question number three is this. Can Antonio Pierce compete with Andy Reid? Because if you want to be the next head coach of the Raiders, here's your chance. This is your number one thing you're putting on a resume. Something that Rich Bisaccia couldn't do. Yeah, Bisaccia was 7-5. Yeah, the Raiders made the playoffs. All that stuff was great. You won your final 4 games, cool. But to me, if you can prove, which they've already proved that they could beat the Chargers, I think you're going to beat the Broncos. You can beat Kansas City in Arrowhead in the month of December. That's the number one thing Antonio Pierce puts on the top of his resume. You want to be able to earn your stripes. You want to be able to earn that respect. Play Kansas City tough for 4 weeks. You got to have your team ready to go. You had 10 days to do it. The last time you had 2 weeks to be able to prepare for a game was the Vikings. We know how that one went. The good head coaches, they'll have their team ready to play in this football game. So as it stands right now, the Chiefs are 10-point favorites. The over-under in this one is 41 points. 41 points is the over-under. Raiders 10-point dogs, man. 10-point dogs. So I got to ask, more or less than 41 points scored in this game? The reason why I'm asking this question is because last week, the over-under in this one was also, I want to say, it's like 33 points. And everyone was like, less. Sometimes I'm a superstitious dude. So I'm going to ask you all again, and I'm just going to say less, but deep down, I'm hoping there's more because watch parties are a lot more fun when a bunch of points are being scored, which I definitely think that we can all agree on that. All right, coming up next here on the show is going to be our Week 16 rooting guide because, the Raiders got to take care of business, right? Like, this rooting guide means absolutely positively nothing unless the Raiders win. But here's the thing. The Raiders, they play on Christmas. 3 games on Christmas. There's a lot of other games on Saturday and Sunday that the nation needs to know who to root for. So as it stands right now, okay, this is according to the New York Times, if the Raiders beat the Chiefs, Colts, Broncos, they have a 35% chance to make the playoffs. So last week, when I said if the Raiders beat the Chargers, Chiefs, Colts, and Broncos, it was, I want to say, 78% chance that they make the playoffs. This past week for the Raiders was a bad one. All the teams that they needed to lose ended up winning. This doesn't mean that their chances of making the playoffs are zero. They still have to be able to control their own destiny. They still have to be able to win out in order to make it. If the Raiders do not win out, the chance of you making it are a big, fat, old zero. All I know, though, is there are 6 games. 6 games in particular that is very, very, very important for the success of the Las Vegas Raiders. So essentially what you're going to see here is this. The 6 games that are going to come up, that is going to be the Raiders' Week 16 rooting guide. And the logo, so I'm going to show you the game. The logo that you're going to see is the team that the nation needs to be rooting for. And sure, some of these teams you might not like, which don't get me wrong, but it is important to know at least who you need to be rooting for. So, first game is Bengals at Steelers. It actually helps out the Raiders more if the Pittsburgh Steelers win that football game. And the Bills at Chargers, it's actually better for the Chargers to win that one. Falcons at Colts is a very pivotal game. We need Atlanta to win that one. Texans, Browns, very, very important for the Browns to win that one. Jags at Bucks, obviously we need the Bucks, but out of all the games on here, that one's probably the least important in terms of as it stands right now. And then Patriots at Broncos, we need New England to take down Denver. So here's the thing. If the Raiders beat the Chiefs just this week alone, and all those teams, Pittsburgh, Chargers, Atlanta, Cleveland, Tampa Bay, and New England win, the Raiders' playoff chances are at 18%. But remember, I was talking like, all right, 35% earlier. A lot of stuff can happen. If the Raiders win and the Colts, or they beat the Chiefs, Colts, and the Broncos, and let's just say for this week, okay? I'm already in my mindset when I talk about Raiders playoffs. In my mind, the only way it even makes sense is to already consider the fact that they're going to win 3 more football games. But if the Steelers, Chargers, Falcons, Browns, Bucks, and the Patriots all win this week, well, then your playoff chances are 77. So if the teams that we need to win this week end up winning, okay, I want you to think of the Raiders' playoff percentage chance is at 77 because it's dumb to talk about the playoffs unless you think that the Silver and Black are legitimately going to win their next 3 games. So remember, we will be live on Christmas. We're going to start probably about an hour beforehand. We're going to have some fun little games, some holiday ideas. We're going to try to have a good time like we always do. It's Chiefs week. It's going to be a little bit wild, and I guarantee you this, there's going to be a lot of banging going down here on the Raiders Report.